And welcome inside the Villainz Lair. We have got a spoiler movie review for Mandalorian and Grogu. If you haven't seen this movie, this is go see it. You've got plenty of time at the end of this holiday weekend. Go see this movie and then come back to our spoiler review. Ryan and Alvin here to talk about this with you. Alvin, how are you doing, brother?
Good, man. Good. First review of a big film. Let's go.
Yeah. So we want to talk about a few different things about this movie, in particular. But I want to kind of start with maybe a bigger topic here. And a lot of the chatter online has maybe felt like this is a TV show trying to be a film. Did it to you feel like it was big enough in scope to feel like a film, or did you feel like you were just kind of watching a continuation of the TV series on the big screen?
Definitely watching a continuation of the TV series, but that's okay with me too because the budget was a little bigger on this one, as John Favreau was saying in a lot of interviews.
Hmm.
So that's cool. I mean, I'm a fan of the show, and seeing it in the theater is cool too. I've actually seen Mandalorian also on, one of those for your consideration movie presentations that they have in Hollywood. And when I saw it in the theater over there at the El Capitan, I was always thinking, each episode or not, we should be seeing, we should be seeing it in the big screen. But
Yeah.
it's a Galaxy soap opera, so it's good either way, whether it's a movie or a show. I like seeing it in the big screen. So
I think they with some of the action sequences and some of the whether he was fighting against the AT-ATs or that sequence with the that water serpent that he fought over where the huts were at. I think it was enough to cinema with the cinematography to make it feel bigger than a TV
yeah,
show.
for sure.
I think it was just sort of such a small, intimate tale. It didn't have this like big scope where they were, like a typically a Star Wars film is going through the galaxy and all these different planets and all these characters. It was kept pretty small for the most part. So I think maybe that's where people still felt like they were within the TV series. I really enjoyed it. And so that stuff didn't bother me because, like you said, I've been watching episodes of the TV series where I was like, man, this would have been really cool to watch in the
Yeah.
theater, and we just never really got that.
I mean, to me also, like, it was also Star Wars aside, it was a high budget Western pretty much, right?
Hmm. Yeah,
Uh
for sure.
Also, I don't think you need a Death Star to be cinematic. And the visual presentation of the IMAX showing really shines in the movie. So yeah, maybe the storyline feels a little bit a little bit more like the show, but the presentation was definitely feature film related.
Yeah, I agree completely. I kind of talked about these action sequences that made it feel bigger and made it feel more cinematic.
Yeah.
What were some of those action sequences that stood out to you the most?
Obviously the pit was really cool. That was that it reminded me of a video game, like
Hmm.
fighting a bad guy in a video game before he goes on and attacks the really big bad. That was really cool. Obviously the destruction of the Hut Palace feels massive,
Right.
and definitely that one is built for theaters, as we was talking about before. Um, that was really cool, and also like the chase sequence when they were chasing after Rada. That was a cool little action scene. But I love the action scene altogether. Just that opening sequence of
Yes, that was what I wanted to
right.
talk about.
That the opening sequence was cool. His fighting style really leveled up, and with
Yep.
Grogu helping him, I mean, it felt like Mandalorian felt like Batman to me in a way in the beginning of this film.
Very, very much so. I was gonna say that. Like it kind of felt like, you were in like an Arkham series game or something, where
Mhm.
he's got the flamethrower, he's like, taking on two guys simultaneously spinning and throwing a blade at another guy to to incapacitate him temporarily before flame throwing another guy. I mean, he just was. I mean, he even double tapped a guy with with his gun. So those were the moments where I was like, oh, okay, like we upped the ante a little bit here. Maybe John Favreau, grabbed some of the guys from the raid and really was hoping to really up the ante. But yeah, those were the sequences. I love the scene in the pit with that water dragon. You can always guarantee that the huts have some massive creature underneath their
Yeah.
in some pit somewhere. So the action for me, I thought was real fun. You don't always need. I feel like with Star Wars, there's always like some dogfights in the air. You kind of got a little bit of that, but it didn't necessarily have to have it.
No, I mean his hand-to-hand combat skills, like I said, definitely peaked over here. And
Hmm.
watching him tear through snow troopers and droid security is like just pure badass arcade action, you know?
Yeah, yeah, 100%, 100%. They also tried to kind of offset some of that so that it was still for kids, right? It wasn't just all like action and violence.
Right.
And so it's where like um Din Djarin plays that role and is appeases to that age group of the viewer. Then you've got Grogu to kind of bring it back to the opposite side. And so throughout the movie, you're getting these cute little baby noises and
Yeah.
reactions and moments. Did it feel at any point to you like it was too much, like they were leaning too heavily into some of those things and it was distracting?
Judging from me going to Disneyland yesterday and watching the film this weekend, from a marketing standpoint, yes, because I'm seeing uh Insolence, and that's how you say it, right? And Insolence, and Grogu all over merchandise in Disneyland. So whatever
Yeah,
they
those
were
little
trying to,
mechanic guys, right? You're sort
yeah,
of
yeah,
referencing.
yeah. Bubba Freak
Hmm.
is all over Disneyland, and Grogu is all over Disneyland. So I can only imagine from a marketing standpoint, it was working because people were buying them. Boba Freak was on people's shoulders. So
Really?
yeah, yeah, they were like, these cute little creatures have become fan favorites now. So I see where they were going. I mean, as a long Star Wars fan, lifelong Star Wars fan, yes, maybe in my face, but also they kind of have to make some money at that point. So I get it. Uh it was cute to me. I saw people react to those scenes, and I've seen women and kids say, "Oh," in the middle of audience participation. So that's okay with me. I know some of the hardcore fans might be like, "Ah, too babyish," blah 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 blah, whatever. You're putting it too much in our face. But guess what? It's working. So I'm okay with that. As long as it's feeding families and still entertained by the product, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, it's cute. For me, it was, maybe a little too much, but
Yeah.
never to the point where I was like, rolling my eyes or, really, really like annoyed at any point. It just was kind of like, okay, you know, they're just sort of these like standard sound effects, baby sound effects, and that are like that comes standard with your account on Adobe Premiere, and they were like, oh, let's just use all these, and you
Yeah.
were kind of hearing the same thing over and over, right? Um, so, but how can you not like Grogu and Baby Yoda, and so it was still to me, it was still still really fun. Didn't distract me, and I saw the value in it and the cuteness of it. On the opposite side of the cuteness, we had some standout villains in this. We had the twins, the Huts, and then we have a first live action appearance by the bounty hunter Embo, who, if you were watching the Clone Wars, you were, a big fan of that guy. There was some serious moments of aura farming with those guys. What did you think of the villains?
I love Dembo, man. He's like a Clone Wars legend, bro. I mean, he radiates silence, deadly menace in live action, and what people is clamoring for, and he
Yeah.
completely steals a shot he's in. You know, just even when he's stalking his praise and trying to capture Dinjarin,
Hmm.
that was amazing the way they set that up. Like, can you imagine Dinjarin is just being stalked as a prey? No one would think that. And just the cinematics they had prior to that too was really cool. And then you see him. Um, did he even speak a word? I don't even remember if he
I don't
spoke a
remember
word.
him saying a single word. No.
Yeah, and he didn't need to. He just had total aura right there, and that
Oh
was
no, I take it back. He calls the dog over when the dog is
oh,
sniffing around. He
that's
does
right.
call the dog to come over
He's
because the guy in his hut is like, "Stay away from my fish."
yeah, the only thing I would have loved to see though, how did the hut hire him? And that
Yeah.
was a pretty expensive hire too. So
Yeah, you can always count on great bounty hunter characters in the Star Wars franchise, right? I mean, it's like the staple of every series, whether it's Boba, in the original trilogy, or you've got Cad Bane,
yeah,
Embo. There's these really cool. There's just always really cool bounty hunters, and you were talking about like the cinematics of it. That shot where he's caught Din and he's standing over him, and his ship kind of like hovers
yeah.
in behind him, and he's in this like real statuesque pose over it. I mean, they just literally framed that really, really cool. So that was probably one of my favorite parts of the entire movie.
Yeah, that was definitely a cool shot to see.
Rada was a new character. We got Rada the Hutt,
Mm.
Jabba's kid. What did you think of Rada? I mean, there was a lot of like kind of fan hate early on in the trailer that there was a Hutt character with a six pack and a shredded chest, but he ended up being pretty cool.
I, yeah, I he talking about growing on someone in one instant movie, a character grew on me, and not to mention he's super jacked, like you were saying. Giddy up on that. Holy crap. Who would have seen Jabba the Hutt kid pull off a classic comic book face turn to reject the crime lord heritage? Holy crap, man. And and it was about time you see like huts looking lean instead of looking sloppy in this
Hmm.
day of age.
Yeah, it was
I mean,
funny. It's like one of his finishing moves was just to like fall on top of you and just kind of smother you to death.
right, exactly. I mean, talk about new republic, a new top tier character evolution, right? Holy,
Hmm.
I like them. His personality too brought out like, I that was probably the best out of it because you see this big diesel hut all cut up, like knowing how to fight, but then he's a little softy inside too with and
Right.
like we were talking about
And
daddy
super
issues with
emo.
past shows. Yeah. Talk about someone with also with a daddy issue in a way.
Hmm. I thought Jeremy Allen White did a good job with the voice, and just all the voice work and emoting through just that alone,
Right.
without having to really see, his use his face and to do it. So I thought the Roddick character was cool. It was a good way to kind of bring Jabba back, but show that there was like some lineage and to continue the lore of the Huts.
Right, right, definitely. What'd you
Um,
feel of the twins, the Hut twins?
yeah, they're just they're typical Huts, man. Stab you in the back and deceitful and in the end, they got what they had coming to them when they were lunch.
Right. That's one thing I was thinking about too. That big, huge, gigantic snake monster is their pet, essentially,
Mhm.
and how they can't control their pet is questionable in my mind. I mean, that thing's been sitting in that pit for a long time,
Yeah,
and
I
the
was
fact that
wondering. I was wondering how there was that much water to hide something like that when he first fell in there.
right, and there should be a connection there too. Like, I mean, if I had a big, huge snake, I'd have that thing controlled to the T. I'd be friends with that thing. And if I ever fall in a snake pit, he'd be like, "Oh, hey, what are you doing here?" kind of thing. And it's not gonna eat me automatic like that.
Yeah, there was just no trainers involved with that. Any unanswered questions that you have going forward here?
Yeah, I have a couple actually. no questioning at all of Boba Fett essentially taking over Jabba's territory, right?
Hmm.
So why are they not questioning him at that point? Yeah, where's Boba Fett on all this timeline? And also, my other question is, where do we leave off with the Mandalorian and Grogu in between episode 6 and 7, essentially in this timeline? Because I would like to know where they went in between this, what what they were doing in between, and what assignments and adventures they were going through, because these are just questions we need to know.
Well, maybe when we get the follow up season, they can fill in some of these blanks,
Right.
and then ultimately, I know John Favreau, the director, spoke recently in an interview and said he does have several ideas on the potential for where Grogu's story goes. So it sounds like there's still a lot of Mandalorian and Grogu story left to be told.
Okay, that's cool, because also Luke obviously is somewhere here in the mix.
Sure.
Ahsoka is definitely there in the mix, and maybe a couple other bounty hunters who's traveling all over space on whatever missions they're doing.
Yeah.
Just because in this film we didn't see, like, obviously a Death Star explode, or other bounty hunters we needed to see, and Ahsoka and other characters we might have been expecting, like, little Easter eggs involved. I was okay with this film, man. What would
Mhm.
you give this film as a rating overall?
So let's say we're doing this out of 10, I think I would give this movie an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, yeah. I agree with you actually. I would give it an A too, because as a fan of the movie as a whole, it's great for the kids, for new fans, to bring in new fans. It's great for us as Star Wars fans. And even if you're just a Mandalorian fan, I can't see that people just watch Star Wars just for the Mandalorian.
Right.
Uh, you know, it was great. I have no problems with it. You know, Glorified TV show or not, I was purely entertained.
Same, same. So, I feel it's more on par with what we got in the first two seasons of The Mandalorian more than the third. So, that works for me. I really enjoy those first two seasons.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it just goes to show you in the future, it proves Star Wars doesn't need a Skywalker family drama or Sith Lords just to justify a theater release. It
Yeah.
absolutely opens the door for more stuff.
All right, so Alvin and I both really enjoyed the next chapter in the Star Wars lore and universe, giving Mandalorian and Grogu, I think both an 8 rating. So we appreciate you guys coming on here. We just want to remind you that the Villainz Lair podcast you can find us every Monday through Friday. That's 5 days a week. So check in on that and subscribe. Give these videos a like if you enjoy what you're hearing. It really helps the channel out. So, for Alvin, I'm Ryan. This has been a spoiler movie review of The Mandalorian and Grogu, and we will see you in the next one.